All right, Gary, that was awful. Thank you for that. It's terrible. I took nothing from that. Keep it up. Yeah, it was terrible. So Strava's gone, yeah? What's the Strava's gal? Her name? Allison, is she gone? Looks like she's gone, yeah. Anyways, who uses Strava? I'm not talking about that today. It's great. Wow, I'm really hearing myself like back in my face. Do you ever like get punched in the face by yourself, by your own voice? It's weird. Anyways, so there's a thing called a Strava asshole or Strava asshole. Have you ever heard that term? It's like you just make a portmanteau out of Strava and asshole. It doesn't really sound that great, but I had an experience one time where I was the Strava asshole. I'm the king of a mountain on one route in Denver, and it's from East High School down into the circle in City Park. It's a really dangerous one, actually. All the segments in Strava, like some are really, really dangerous because it just encourages you to go really fast across, like through pedestrians and through traffic. But I had an opportunity with a green light. I'm like, I'm gonna get this thing. I'm gonna get this thing. So I start hammering through, and I pass this family, this nice gentleman, and his kids are probably like 12, 11, 13, whatever. And I fly by them, and it was kind of almost like violent, like I violently flew by them. And then I got to the end, and I'm like, oh, I got that thing, right? And the guy's like, hey, listen, I don't mind if you do that, whatever, but not for my kids. He's kind of gave me a mouthful for my asshole demeanor. And I was like, you're 100% right. I was a total asshole right there. And I told him what I was doing. And he's like, oh, actually, my girlfriend is on Strava, and she does that all the time. So we were able to kind of have this conversation about how we can all be Strava assholes sometimes. So anyways, the point there too, it's just a story. Here's a really bad idea, though. King of the mountain or queen of the mountain or leaderboards on like Hinge, or like, isn't that an awful idea? Like leaderboards, like gamify Hinge or gamify Bumble. I would hate to see that. Like, what does that say about you if you were actually doing that? I don't know. Let's hope that doesn't happen. So don't take that idea if you work for Hinge or Bumble or any other. Maybe you do it if it's one that's more bent towards more nefarious activities. Anyways, all that said, my name is Russ Duncan, not Ross. I go by Russell and Russ. I used to be a Rusty. My name now at my company is Duncan, Russell. So I get called Duncan half the time, and it's like, I'm like, it's Russell, it's Russ, because Duncan Russell could be a first name. I'm going to get to my presentation in a second. One time I was in where was I at? This is one of my two truths and one lie. I was in Portland, and I got mistaken identity as Duncan Trussell, who was a comedian. I got a bump. I got a upgrade to like their a better suite. And I tried to convince them I wasn't this, and they were not having. They're like, no, we know who you are. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it, honestly. Gary, I'm going to follow your lead and just not breathe. I live here in Denver, and I breathe this mountain air all the time, and I sometimes forget to breathe. So I work for JLL Technologies. Who knows JLL? Anybody? If you don't know, you probably see signs all over. JLL is the second largest commercial real estate company on the globe. So commercial real estate brokerage. They spun off a couple years ago and have a company called JLL Technologies. So I work in prop tech or CRE tech, anything property or commercial real estate. Done that my entire career for the most part. I'm here today. Where's the clicker at? Do I have that? Is this it? Do I have a clicker? This thing? This thing looks like it's like really archaic. It's weird. I host trivia at 10 Barrel. Does anyone get 10 Barrel trivia ever? You know what 10 Barrel is? The brewery? All right, well, come. It's fun. It's a good way to. Oh, there you go. That's me. Again, I'm Russ. Illinois, California, North Carolina, Illinois, California, Colorado is my home since 2015. Love it. Like to do these activities. I love the built environment. It's literally I've always had an affinity for geography, for architecture, in the natural environment as well. So I studied geography in college, which is a weird thing. Is there any geography majors out there? Yes, I love that, GIS. It's geospatial information science now. It's much sexier. It used to be geographic information systems. I'm so out of the game, honestly, but I say all that because I had like this passion and love for just geography, place, and the reason I showed this about myself is because place matters. This place right here is a real estate story, and having a passion for what you do as far as like applying yourself into a certain role or product was something I was kind of like, I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do with my career. I literally went to a state school. I double minored, which is incredible, at a directional state school, so pretty impressive, honestly. But place was a really big part of what I always kind of focused on. So you cannot tell any story. Every story is a real estate story. So I kind of like moved that passion into mapping into real estate. Real estate's a huge industry, right? So I've spent the majority of my career, like I said, God, I hate counting how many years I've been doing work. It feels like 5, but it's like 20, I don't know. Where are my notes here? So, double minored, yeah. So anyways, that's me. I do all those things. I love the built environment. That's why I applied to real estate. That's why I'm at JLL. Again, I've been in prop tech my entire career. But my career is kind of a weird, storied one where who started off in product marketing? I just jumped right into product marketing, or they kind of became or morphed into it. So this story is about really building a product marketing from scratch, not knowing anything about it, but realizing that your Venn diagram of what I did kind of molded itself into, I kind of like found myself at the center of, product marketing was at the center of sales, and I'll show this in a second. I think PMA has a really good Venn diagram for this. Green is advance. It is. So that's me. This is the places I've been, places I am. DMP is called Digital Map Products. It's a terrible name, but go by DMP. I was a GIS account manager. Is this happening? This is going to be terrible if it doesn't work. Wow, it's slow. Okay. Went into customer success management before it was really a thing. Like, this is very early on. Was a solutions consultant. I just got to morph. It's because I had a passion for what I did. I was able to morph my career into like just doing different things. I got trust by the executive team. Like, you understand the customer, you understand the product, you have a passion for it. So I kind of was able to mold my career in different ways. Eventually, I landed into product management, and that was kind of fun because I had all this wonderful field knowledge. I traveled for a year and just visited customers monthly. And just learned a ton of information. I became a product evangelist, which is just like, we don't know what to do with you, You just know a lot about the customer, a lot about the product. And then finally, after 9 years at one company, which is a long time these days, I went over to a company called Apto. And Apto was recently acquired by BuildOut. If you know anything about the prop tech space, they're making tons of acquisitions. They're one of the ones who have won this game of consolidation. And that's when I became a product marketing manager. And I had no idea what the heck, I knew what it was, but I just didn't really have the discipline for it. So I had to literally build product marketing from scratch as someone who's never done marketing. And so what that meant, I didn't really know. And so I had to go and learn how to become a product marketer. And let me see, what are notes up here? So I had to use my computer as well. This is next. Anyways, eventually became a director of product marketing. And then went on to Alteryx, which is a publicly traded company. I worked with Park back there. Mindy Grissom, who spoke yesterday, if you saw her. We were colleagues. And then that was a foray into something else, but then JLL called, and I'm like, yes, prop tech is my bread and butter. It's where I have passion, so bring me back to that. So all that to say, again, I talk about this Venn diagram. I talk about this all the time in my interviews or just when I'm talking to people about product marketing. It's like, if you've not had the traditional path, and I don't know if there is a traditional path to product marketing, but I worked in product, right? I worked in customer success. I worked as a sales engineer-ish type person, as a product evangelist. And of course, you always do some form of marketing there, webinars and content to some degree, but always centered around the market and the customers. This is PMA's graphic. I've told this story a lot, and I have my own Venn diagram, but why not use theirs? We're here. This is their stuff. So I made my way into product marketing, and okay, now I'm product marketing. What the hell does that mean? So I had to like literally start and say, let's play the part and let's work with whoever I can. So what I did is when you're told, hey, you're product marketing. So situation here is Apto was a Series B company with roughly 70 employees, and it had a really bad product market fit. And I'm doing this thing called customer evangelist, whatever the hell that meant. I had some good wins under my belt with that. But we got kind of serious, brought in a good product, VP of product. You might know him. I'll bring his face up in a second. This was the org chart. Is that even showing up? It is. It doesn't show up on here. So when you're told, there's this massive chasm, and I think Gary had a great graphic for this, right? It was the penguin and the, it was Moses, not Moses, excuse me, Noah. It was a penguin and an elephant, right? Yeah, but when you actually step into that and it doesn't exist somewhere, and no one's really worked with product marketing, there's like this gap. It's like product and marketing are very close to each other, right? I think the title of this is product plus marketing does not equal product marketing, right? So filling that gap, you kind of have to make your space and find out what the heck it is you do and how you bring value to an organization. And so to do that, of course, I had to use different methodologies and just try to fit my way into this, but it really does kind of fill this gap, basically, and I was under product. And then henceforth, the journey of becoming and building product marketing at a small startup. Quickly, who's at a startup now? Doing my quick, terrible math, it's like, I don't know, 20% of the room, maybe, 15%. Are you the only product marketer? Are you the domain, like you own product marketing? Okay, and did you come from product marketing prior? Yes, yes, no? So are you in the situation where you're kind of building product marketing? Wonderful. I'd love to hear how that's going, but let's talk about this journey here. So product marketers, to me, I now work amongst many product marketers, but we become product marketers around others, but sometimes you don't have the luxury of that, right? So you're working with marketing, content marketing, growth marketing, and then of course product managers who care about that stuff, but they care so much about getting a product built and done that when the time you get to do product marketing type things, you just kind of lose steam on that stuff. So Jeremy Dillingham, does anybody know Jeremy in this room? No, he's a tech star. He's always like, he's just got his tentacles, yeah? He's a tentacle-y guy. But he introduced me to all these other people. You guys know Ben Blackmer? Is Ben here today? He spoke yesterday, yeah? Top left corner, you guys remember Ben's face? Today? When? 2:30. Oh, cool. He's not here yet. Okay, cool. We met at Little Owl, and I was like, go meet with this guy, figure out what he does. And I'm like, cool. So I literally just started networking with product marketing people from Twilio, SendGrid at the time, Twitter. I forgot where Elise is from Gusto now. Anyways, but I just said, what the heck do you guys do? And I got their artifacts and like just heard from them and got best practices, figured that out. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's apply this. This is, what do you call these things from a UX perspective? There's a name for these things. Yeah, there you go. That's LinkedIn. That is literally product marketing search for people in Denver with that title. It's hard to believe there's 100 pages of people with product marketing in Denver. It feels like a small community of people. But there's a ton of people to meet with, right? So learning kind of what you can do with those people. Again, my screens. Then, so I collect all these best practices. I'm like, what am I going to do? How do I build this rollout? So you can also turn to things like, obviously PMA and Pragmatic Institute. I've heard that mentioned several times today. 280 Group, Serious Decisions, all these frameworks that give you just lots of knowledge on how to apply product marketing. But fitting that to a company that doesn't have product marketing, it's kind of like it's choose your own adventure. So it's lots of different inputs and sources you grab from. But so what I did is you have to get an early win in this stuff. So the win that I got was just doing something. And the idea of something is that it's completely relative. If something's never been done somewhere else, then that something is completely new and novel. So I'm the kind of person who's like pretty critical. I have the ability to like craft a really big vision about what could be. If you're in geography, you think about layers of data. I think we all think that way now because data is so prevalent in what we do. But I need water. Gary called out his awkwardness. I'm not going to call it out. It makes it more awkward, actually. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to keep doing this. Thank you, Gary, for setting the stage for this. It's a big help. losing track. Anyways, I have this like tendency. I have a really big vision. So my geospatial mind and like location intelligence is that you think of spatial phenomena and how things occur over space. And so when I do that, I'm always like, my vision for things is always huge. So I become very self-critical if I can't ever achieve the full vision of what's in my brain. And so I set out to do this thing right away, and I'm like, it could be this. It's nothing. Here's what it could be. And I land somewhere in between on the spectrum of what it is. And so I'm critical. But the CEO at the time told me, he's like, honestly, no. He's like, you're being too hard on yourself. He's like, no one's ever done this before. And again, they've done it somewhere else, but they've never done it at that company. And so the fact that you did something new and novel and put some thought and exercise into the exercise and produce something that people can use, that's a huge win. So those early wins were huge for me, actually. What that looked like was taking frameworks. It was taking and the insights and artifacts that I got from the people I met with on those previous screens. I made a thing called a product positioning document. And so that chasm that lives between product and marketing, right, it's not that far, but it's very deep. The way I filled that was actually getting people to engage through a product positioning doc, because now I'm saying to the product manager, it's like, you have to give me something and they have to think through the things that I need. So you're enabling me to further enable marketing, sales, and the rest of the organization. That didn't exist before, right? Just a framework for thinking is a huge win to actually just align the organization about, we're building something for a purpose, for a set of personas to solve some challenge or problem that we know people are willing to pay money for. So getting that done was a huge, huge success. And again, has never been done before. So, and then of course a product launch plan, and then doing some novel things, just giving like a dashboard to it. Like, this is a simple Google Sheets thing, but it's like organizing your thoughts where people can look every single day about how far we're coming along to, okay, I'm check my time here, towards progress, towards getting something out. I talked about product market fit. We were literally selling Salesforce reconfigured for commercial real estate brokers. It's a market that Salesforce doesn't go after, but with the Force.com platform, you can build your own thing. And it's like this wonderful promise of like, does anybody work for Salesforce? Okay, cool, we can talk bad about them. It's a great product, honestly, but as far as building a company on it, you can build it, but it's like, it's all this promise, and then all of a sudden you realize like you can't unshackle yourself from it. It's like you're stuck, and trying to re-platform is very difficult once you're on that platform. So huge promise, but if you begin to grow, it's hard to remove yourself from that. Anyways, okay, moving on to the next thing, molding the role, how to enable sales better, all the things you can do. Product marketers, we can do a lot of things, right? You can do pricing and competitive research and all the things you see on the tables, right? Personas, enablement, content, if you're a content person, a writer. I was on the product side, more the technical side, customer success management from a technical angle. So I always bent back towards kind of the product side of things, and I had really good content marketers. And if you're a content marketer, bless you, honestly, because you are, like, that molds my thinking. I can say so much shit and put it on paper, and then have someone cut it down and actually make it more pithy. That's been a huge success, but I've become a better writer as a result of working with content marketers. So, how I molded this role. One thing I want to talk about this, I love this idea, because we talked earlier about jobs to be done, but if you use user stories or jobs to be done or whatever framework you use, and how I was working specifically, we kind of adopted this thing. We got to the place where we were launching something, and I said, show me how it does this, solves this problem. And they tried to show me, and I'm like, oh shit, it doesn't do that thing. So I can't go tell sales people. You think about the downstream or ripple effect of your kind of value chain or your customer, your product journey, if you will. If it doesn't do something we set out to do, of course, it's a huge problem, right? So UX people in the room, there's a few I know. Is it Alex? One of there? So we did this user story validation thing, and it was basically as a blank, right? We had a personas conversation as this little breakout. I want to, and of course, often we think about these things independent of the product you're building, but in this case, working with UX, it's like we want to, of course, how we're trying to solve this thing so that I can, right? In my case, it was as a commercial real estate broker, investment real estate broker, I want to, generate more leads so that I can actually close more deals, right? But this structure, I love the user story structure, but literally taking product through, like, demonstrate to me exactly how this works in a prescribed way. We found out, like, often we couldn't, so it really kind of helped me mold the role with product management. It was my comfort zone on the product side. But what that did is it helped me to work with marketing and sales better, because I know I'm delivering something that actually is achievable, right? And actually my experience as a customer success manager is sales crafted a vision, and they bought something based on that vision. And if the vision can't be achieved or realized, and you're the customer success manager trying to make that a reality, it's a lot of sweat equity. And if you've been a customer success manager and the product doesn't do what it says it does, or if it doesn't do what salespeople said it will do, you are at the center of that, and that's your reputation, that's everything. And it's a very trying thing on an individual. And it literally leads to burnout, because it's like, if you have any integrity about, like, what you're delivering and saying is true, obviously there's only so long you can do that. Be like, you know what, there's a problem here. And so, of course, you can go back to product, UX, and the whole chain. More water. All right, so sales enablement. I don't know the title. I think my title was very different than what I'm actually speaking to. So we're in it now. It doesn't matter. Let's keep going. Finding novel ways. So if you're a product organization that's very young, that people don't know how to demo the product, like that fell on me, honestly. So I had to sit there and just, like, think, what's the best way to show this? I had real estate knowledge a little bit. I knew the customer better than salespeople did. So how do you actually build material or enablement material that actually appeals to this? And I've since been at larger organizations. I think JLL has 93,000 people. It's huge. JLLT, we have like 3,500. A lot of it's consultants. But with any product, categorically, if you say CRM, people have assumptions right away, right? So you think, okay, CRM does this, 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 and this. And if you're talking to just regular run-of-the-mill business people, those expectations are based on obviously what they use, but we know that people use very small portions of, like, a whole product vision. If you were to describe Salesforce, everything it can do, that's a huge statement, right? But what does Salesforce do for salespeople? It's like lead management, right? Probably a better term for that. So the idea of, like, finding novel ways that appeal to the problems and objections that will be faced in the market by your salespeople, and literally crafting material about that, putting thought and time and effort into thinking about how you can enable. So it takes enablement beyond just, like, if you were to list off the things that sales enablement does, and we have teams for that now, which is outstanding. But for me, it was like, literally, like, you say this, people will have expectations, and immediately they'll think, oh, it does this, this, and this. And your job is to actually find alignment between what it actually does and what they think it should do, and why there's value in that dissonance. Or trying to find value in dissonance, which is actually very interesting, right? There's a very psychological play there. So literally, crafting materials like this was a big part of helping our sales team be more effective in what they did. Also, from a product demonstration standpoint, so if this falls on you, and if you're actually one doing like crafting the demo itself, to give someone a script, like, it takes away anybody's ability to have just any creative or unique thought about how to deliver something. So instead of actually giving scripts, move towards, like, a thesis statement. So it took, break a demo down into each respective part, and then build a thesis around that, how to do discovery, and then some high-level user stories and use cases and the value there. And that's like, now use your brain to employ this the way that actually makes sense for you and how you can connect with customers. So further, kind of owning this domain. So this is literally a journey of, like, building product marketing in an organization that didn't have any. So now, literally stepping into a role, this is where the kind of director thing came in. It's like, okay, I was just, like, testing things out, trying it, building something, now owning that domain. I really employed this whole product approach, and I'm gonna just read what the heck this is. Who does anybody follow this whole product approach ever? Familiar with the term? I think it's somebody from Harvard, typically is. 280 Group says, whole product concept involves viewing your product as more than just a sum of its features, but rather as everything involved with the experience customers have with your product. To develop your whole product concept, start at the core, which is here, the generic base product. What's the benefit the customers expect to receive from the experience of the product? It kind of starts building itself out to the expected benefits. Again, I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. The augmented product. When your data is inside of a product, how does that change and augment and actually begin to build the value and it connects with the vision they wanted to connect with when they initially bought it? And of course, what's the potential? So beyond this, you think about, you don't just invest in a product because of what it does today, but you believe in the vision of the company, and of course there's innovations that happen, and the ability to take back customer feedback, incorporate that into the product. So this is kind of that whole approach. What this does from an enablement standpoint, though, is it really forces you to have this broader alignment. So at the very top of this, excuse me, you can see the generic product, the expected product, the augmented, the potential. But if you align this to your departments, you can see of course, some high-level value prop. You take your value proposition. I made this for myself mostly, but what this does is it speaks to a total alignment about what you're selling, what you're saying about your product, not just how to sell it or market it, build it, sell it, market it, but how to continue the value and deliver that, and of course, lead to renewals if you're talking SaaS, of course. But it creates an alignment and an accountability that says product is building something based on a purpose that we all agree to, right? Some higher order, some higher level value prop of what we exist for as a company. We market that thing, we sell the thing we market, we deliver the thing we sold, we renew the thing, of course, and that kind of leads this entire thing. This matrix that I created is simply just a way to say, like, what is the stance or position, the ultimate concern of each respective department to make that whole product vision a reality. What it does, it leads to just better, to me, it was better enablement because I was able to see the entire thing across the entire value chain through departments. And it focuses on this idea of ultimate concern. Let me know Paul Tillich. Paul Tillich is like a theologian / philosopher, but he actually gets on this idea, this is ridiculous, but of God as ultimate concern. And so when you actually look at people's ultimate, why do I exist as a customer success manager, as a salesperson, as a marketing person? And I don't give a shit about real estate. I just want a job, right? I cared about it because I think real estate's an incredible story because, again, we are bound by time and space. So I kind of have a purpose for it. But if you address people at what they care about from enablement, then you can actually just do much better enablement altogether. But they see themselves not just as a customer success manager, as a salesperson, but there's accountability that goes both upstream and downstream, and actually even cyclical, right? So these are just examples, but I want to focus on here, training. So everyone gets trained on a value prop and use cases and how to make that true. There's a how-to, of course. How do you even use the tool to do what it does, right? So you align that. But moreover, then, if you take this idea of ultimate concern, well, if client services, or what do you want to call it, is implementation. How do I implement this product? Customer support is dealing with unexpected results. So like when, hey, we say it does this thing, they go to do this thing, and all of a sudden you get this result. Well, you enable in that way. So they know how it works, they know the value of it, but now it's like you enable and actually develop artifacts and materials that help them deal with unexpected results. Sometimes it's just understanding and trying to align someone's understanding and bring back expectations about what it's meant to do. But hopefully when you're enabling your organization this way, what you're doing is that you're getting salespeople to say what is demonstrably true. And they're not looking towards the next thing to sell, but they say you're doubling down on the value you deliver today and not looking for the next thing it can do. And of course, for customer success, it kind of leads to that where you can now upsell on the value, but also the future of the augmented, or I think it's expected product, on the whole product cycle. So that is the journey of developing and building product marketing from within, of literally going from like just saying, you're this thing now. And I'm like, cool, let's figure that out, right? Taking all the feedback and input from other product marketers, trying something, doing something that's never been done before inside that organization, even if it's not, up to the standards that you might have in your head. It's never been done before. There's a huge value in that. And then, of course, tackling the things that you can, that the organization needs, from all the things we can do as product marketers. and then literally owning that domain and actually finding the ways to align the entire organization to say product marketing isn't just this little piece, right? We saw the Venn diagram. It serves so many areas. Gary said it already, I think. I don't know what he said. He said something about we're the best, I think. That was the paraphrase. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. We actually don't have time for questions. We got to move on to the next one, but super appreciative. I didn't know about the whole product launch framework, so learned something new today. Let's give him one more round of applause. Thank you.